Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Ouroboros podcast. It's been like a week um, since I was able to post, and a lot has happened. So last weekend, when we were supposed to have an episode out, and there wasn't an actual episode, but there was sort of the delayed video of the previous episode that came out. I was at a market the entire weekend, just doing readings pretty much. A little promotion of the other things that I have going on. But yeah, just doing readings for some really lovely people. Gosh, I did so many readings. I probably did like more than 50 readings over the weekend, which is a lot. But I met so many incredible people, made really, really great connections, um, and even got to read the cards in styles, or like, I guess I can say like I practice communication in ways that are a little more unfamiliar to me, because I had a few clients who um, weren't able to uh, communicate verbally, and I was just so excited and honored to be able to provide readings to them as well. We had really, really good connection, and I'm very thankful for that. Um, Saw a lot of returning faces, and yeah, my heart is so warm and filled with joy, and I just love doing readings for people. So I'm very excited. I suppose by the time this comes out, I will have done more readings. I was recently invited to the Arlington Art Market as like a shared booth, kind of last minute add on, um, with Aida, who is my co host for the Readings and Ritual event that's coming up on May 17th in Ottawa. So definitely check that out. I posted the link in the last episode, but I'm gonna like include it in the description for this one as well, in case you're in the area and interested in learning how to get started with reading, or just learn different ways to read the cards as well. It's gonna be really, really fun, and Aida has some really neat stuff planned in terms of like the ritual side of things, of the workshop. So you'll be able to walk away with a little more witchy knowledge and some little trinkets, little magical things to take away. So definitely check that out. There is a registration form because we've got limited spots. We have a relatively small space that we're working with, but I kind of prefer that. It makes for like a little more of an intimate, close knit vibe. Little, cozy coven vibes. So I hope to see you there. Um, there's been a lot of interest, so definitely check that out before time runs out. Um, yeah. What else? What else? I have another market coming up on May 13th, and that'll be on Preston Street. Um, and I'm going to be bringing some of my handmade stuff. I'll still bring my cards because I always do. And yeah, so if you're looking for something to do on Mother's Day weekend, maybe come out again if you're in the area. You know, it's there, it's happening. So I've got a busy couple weeks. May is like April, May gets pretty pretty busy, pretty wild. Keeps things interesting. So I wanted to I realize I'm like really drawing out my vowels. If you're watching this on, I almost said Instagram, but if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, you can also follow us on Instagram. I do have an Instagram account. It's Ouroboros_arts. Uh, so if you want to follow, check us out there. Uh, you'll be updated on events that are upcoming, ways to get in touch for readings, different things that I am involved with, and yeah, probably behind the scenes stuff as well. I want to get more into that. So, another thing to check out. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you may have noticed the outfit. Got some things going on. I got a few of these things. Actually, I think most of what I'm wearing I got at a recent clothing swap, which I'm obsessed with. So yeah, I've got a yellow oversized sweater, black vest, kind of like biker and cowboy style, but spliced a little bit depending on how you style it. A little red and paisley, I guess, ascot. Some black pants, red shoes to match the ascot, and a black hat. Collection of rings as well, just, for fun. I've been wearing the stack of rings for a few days now. I went, like, when I was at the Ottawa Mystic Market as a vendor, I got a little distracted, bought some stuff for myself. So I got some new rings. I got a moon phase ring and a Taurus ring because I'm a Taurus. Gotta rep, And I got these from Witch House. Super, super cool gang. So check them out. Also on Instagram. But yeah, so the outfit combination today. Probably looking at me like, what card is this? What could it possibly be? Well, today we're going to be talking about a very misunderstood card, I feel, in the tarot. And I feel like I say that a lot about cards in the tarot generally, but sort of on par with maybe the Tower or the Devil card. We're talking about the Death card today. And I'm going to be honest, I did want to film this a couple weeks ago, last week, and I could not bring myself to it. Just in terms of like time, but also the energy. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, both my partner and I lost our childhood pets. Both were put down, and they were very old. Derek's parrot, Derek's family parrot, was, I believe, 54 years old, which is absolutely insane to me. And yeah, that was really hard because we kind of knew it was coming, but it was also unexpected. So, and then my family lost my childhood dog, Max, who he was nearly 18. So that boy lived a very long life, quite an old gentleman. And both of them will be extremely missed. But yeah, I just like the idea of talking about the death card. I was like, oh, this is very like topical, I guess, in a way, even though the death card doesn't actually have anything to do with like a physical death. There are sort of overlaps to it, and I was just like, I don't know if I have the energy to commit to it, but after a week of fluctuating emotions and just riding the waves of grief and loss, we're making it through, feeling stronger on the other side. Um, so yeah, we're going to be talking about the death card and how this card is so severely misunderstood. But yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So, as per usual, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got the card on the screen, and you'll probably be able to see similar color schemes between my outfit and the card. We've got sort of reds and yellows mixed in there. And hold on, let me pull it out of my oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if this is loud on the mic, but I'm trying to get the print from my stack of prints that I bring to markets. I forget if I mentioned actually, the prints that I have, like of the tarot that I've designed, I do bring them to markets, and each one is $10, and it comes with a little flash fortune that is like specialized for the card that you picked. So, oh my gosh, why am I having so much trouble finding it? Bro, okay. So while I search, we've got some like contrasting colors. We've got blacks and whites in the card. There's a background of sort of like a fiery scene, which, you think of like the underworld, hell maybe. And I suppose that's more so associated with the devil. Am I out of the death card in here? I might very well be. Gotta restock on that boy. Anyways, but yeah, so I've got in one corner there's the words death and death sort of on top of each other. There's a little bit of space between them. Like I said, background's kind of fiery, and then at the bottom we have this person silhouette in red, like there's a sheet over them, and there's a bird cage on their head with a bird in the cage, and they have two wings sprouting out of them. One is white, one is black, and sort of at the base of the card it says free. That's the depiction of the card. Sorry it took so dang long to tell you what it looked like. If you're on oh my gosh, I keep doing that. If you're on YouTube, you would have seen it. You get the picture, literally. So when people see this card come out in the reading, they're immediately like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And I know at this point they're probably joking. They know that that's not gonna happen. I mean, it is to all of us eventually, but in the reading it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna die. So not in like a physical case. So this is where it gets like a little trippy, I guess. And we bring in the idea of ego death and the dark night of the soul. Not the Dark Knight as in like Batman. But who's to say? So if you're unfamiliar with ego death, we kind of talked about this idea a little, although I don't think I really tied it to the Tower card, but that idea of um your life kind of like when you pull something out, how stable is it? Are things falling apart for a good reason, kind of thing? And like tying yourself too tightly to values or concepts that you've assigned to yourself at a certain period of time that don't really apply anymore. Um, and the ego death kind of comes with that like really stark moment of you recognizing that that's not who you are anymore. And there's sort of this gray space where you have no association to that version of yourself. And that can be really scary, because I guess, like, metaphorically, a part of you or like that version of yourself, quote unquote, dies. And we know that, like, it doesn't necessarily die because this is getting very woo. Um, but like your past, present, and future self exist simultaneously forever. But in your present moment, you're there's like a separation from the version that you were. And there is a loss there. There is a feeling of grief. There is a feeling of loss. There's a feeling of distance because you may have had a really, really strong connection to this version of yourself. And it doesn't necessarily mean that past version is bad or needed to be changed. It's just that's kind of the way that it goes sometimes. Um, and you're being urged to move into this new phase, and there's bittersweet feelings to it, because you can recognize that you are growing, you are developing into this new version of self that like there's so much opportunity, there's so much to offer. It's sort of like that idea of the Fool again, where it's like a whole new adventure opens up in front of you, but at the same time, like there's still an attachment or like some kind of a desire or maybe even a guilt, that's tied to the attachment of your previous self, um, and that can be really hard to get past. On the flip side, this ego death could entirely feel like a void, like a complete loss of something, and there's just kind of like this hole, for a while. And a lot of people are intimidated by that idea of that kind of hole, that emptiness of self, instead of seeing it as an opportunity. And I understand that again, like the feelings of that are coming from a place of lack and loss. You feel like something is removed from you, and therefore there's this space. But there's sort of on the flip side, but the same side, there's this space for you to grow into. There's so much room for you to evolve into that new version of yourself and make room for new opportunities. And yeah, um, so that's like the ego death side of things, and there's plenty of literature on it. It really goes in depth, and I think people get maybe confused, or like they often pair up ego death with um, Dark Night of the Soul and see them interchangeably, and that's not really the case. Where the ego death is sort of this like stark movement, a complete sort of overhaul of who you were. Um, it's like cutting those cords and stepping into this newness, even though there is like a lot of unknowns. Dark Night of the Soul is more so confronting the things of your past more consciously. Again, sort of I guess, linking to the Tower card. Um, but one, like, association may be, sort of the ego death is not, it's like the Tower reversed in a way, is what leads you there. And then, um, yeah, the Dark Night of the Soul is like Tower upright, where it's kind of like a personal choice to dive into that stuff and like really look at the things in your life, um, that have caused you trauma, that have maybe built some negative habits, and look at yourself critically and develop those skills to, I guess, do better for yourself. Like, um, find coping skills that are healthier, but you have to look at like the quote unquote ugly sides of yourself in order to do that. You have to look at your shadow, um, and confront that. So, sort of using this, idea, I have, the character in the card having one like light wing, one white wing, um, and one dark wing, to sort of show this duality, but there's still like a similarity there. It's two sides of the self, and yeah, one is sort of a blank slate, and the other is facing the darkness. So yeah, um, is it an easy card to get? Not necessarily. Um, so it does put you in a bit of a hot seat. Hence the fire in the background. But ultimately, like, there is this sense of freedom, because this idea of like a metaphysical death is a release of things. It is a release of fear. It is a release of expectation. It is a release of self in some ways. So there is that freedom that comes along with it. Um, and sort of the, like I said, the duality of the idea of death. It can be sort of the loss of self, or the loss of the ways that you were in the past. And I guess that's sort of what links the common thread, even though they go about it in different ways, between the, Dark Night of the Soul and an ego death. But yeah, there's like a deeper kind of death, but this sort of signals a new beginning. But this is also a cycle. Like, there's not just one moment of quote unquote death. I'm doing air quotes a lot, in this episode, but you understand. So, yeah, um, with this card, like, you're, as I was saying, you're not gonna have one death in your life. There's plenty of versions of you that you've probably already let go of over the course of where you are right now. Um, and we're gonna loop back to my, English degree and call up F. Scott Fitzgerald, because one of like the key things that I remember from The Great Gatsby is, um, Gatsby does, spoilers, does die at the end, like a physical death. But there's all these implications that he, like, internally, like a part of him has already died. Um, And I know there's associations with like the green light and stuff being God. Um, and like it very well could be. It's sort of like that other side. Um, and I think that's sort of a glimmer of like his first death. Um, yeah. It's it's there's so many things that I can go into there, but like we often talk about like seeing the light and stuff. And so this green light associated with Gatsby is sort of like that moment, I guess. To put it like very, very simply, it's like the pivotal moment that signals like the transition into something else. There's like a bit of loss, a bittersweetness, like I've been saying. Um, because like there could be so much more to the character, and I'm getting too deep. But anyways, um with the death card, this is a tough transition, um, but usually an opportunity for self-reflection, um, and sort of looking at the ways in which you may have trapped yourself. We're referencing the visual of the card, the bird in the cage atop the character's head is sort of this idea of like the caged mind, and that sense of freedom is a choice to release those expectations, release that part of yourself that is holding you in place, and to move forward. um yeah, so there's a lot of external transitions in life that call us to reframe what our future looks like, reframe what our next version looks like. And that's the power of the death card. It's not necessarily something to be scared of. No card should be something that scares you. Um, they're just giving you a heads up. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Don't try and like dig too deeply. Just know that it's a little flag in the distance of like, hey, this is what's up. So that's where I'm going to end today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And like I said at the beginning, if you're interested in learning how to read the cards yourself, you can definitely join me and my co host Aida at the Readings and Rituals Witches workshop. And the description will be in the, or what am I saying? The link will be in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.